Good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Hall. This is the show where you get all the news to use to fight fascism and religious extremism. This is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. First news story we're covering is about Canadian police arrest 2 leaders of protesting truckers. We've covered the protesting truckers story a couple of days ago. It seems like the United States of America has successfully exported our insanity to Canada. Yes, the trucker convoy that has been supported by Fox News and former President Donald Trump still causing trouble up there. And do I have video? Do I have video of one of the leaders? Yes, thanks to West Coast Dave. He sent it over to me. And I don't know if I'm going to get taken off of YouTube for this, but it's something that you need to see, I feel. And let's just go to the story. Ottawa, Ontario, hundreds of truckers clogging Canada's capital stood their ground and defiantly blasted their horns like 3-year-olds. Oh, I'm sorry, that was my editorial comment. Even as police arrested 2 protest leaders and threatened to break up the nearly 3-week protest against the country's COVID-19 restrictions. Busloads of police arrived near Ottawa's Parliament Hill, and workers put up extra fences around government buildings. Police also essentially began sealing off much of the downtown area to outsiders to prevent them from coming to the aid of protesters. Police arrested organizers Tamara Litch and Chris Barber around Parliament Hill, but officers were not moving in force on the demonstrators. Police took Litch into custody Thursday. Police continued negotiating with the protesters and trying to persuade them to go home. Bell said, "We want this demonstration to end peacefully," he said, but added, "If they do not leave peacefully, we have plans." Plans indeed. So now we're going to talk about one of the leaders here, Patrick King, who is not arrested, but he's mentioned in this article. Many of the truckers of the self-styled Freedom Convoy appeared unmoved by days of warnings from police and the government that they were risking arrest and could see their rigs seized and bank accounts frozen. "I'm prepared to sit on my butt on my ass and watch them hit me with pepper spray," said one of the leaders, Pat King. As for the truckers, we're just gonna kick to the video of Pat King. Now, once again, we have seen that the trucker convoy has a lot of money being funded. It's being funded by lunatics here in the United States of America. What, over 50%? I think that was the number that we looked at. There's also a cache of weapons that was seized by border guards from the United States going into Canada. So yes, everyone, right-wing extremism, the U.S. is importing it into Canada. And this is just an example of how QAnon and conspiracy theories have infected our neighbor to the north. And massive apologies for this, Canada. You did not deserve this. This is Pat King, one of the leaders of the trucker convoy. And this is the video that could get me bounced, because we've seen other channels getting punished for reporting the news. I still have a warning on the Creator Studio that whenever I log in, it says, "You're in the trouble bubble, Andy Hall," and so is your channel. But I'm going to show it anyway. This just shows you the people at the heart of the trucker convoy movement here there in Canada. Check it out.
Now, what it is the part of the depopulation. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. And what there is there's an end game. It's called depopulation of the Caucasian race, or the Anglo-Saxon. And that's what the goal is to depopulate the Anglo-Saxon race, because they are the ones with the strongest bloodlines. And we'll leave it at that, because then we get into a whole different topic. But it's a depopulation of race. Okay, that's what they want to do. I've spoken before about how we have Ahmed Ahmadinejad, or Mahmed. I can't say their names very well because I don't have the dialect that they do, but we have Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who states that no matter what, we are going to infiltrate governments, education systems. We're going to infiltrate every way possible into the Western world. What we're going to do is not only infiltrate by flooding with refugees, we're going to infiltrate the education systems to manipulate it to endorse this kind of behavior. This kind of behavior then endorses less procreation. All right, so the less procreation, the less white people, or, you know, Anglo-Saxon. Let's say Anglo-Saxon, because when I say white, all the Antifa guys call up the race card. So we're going to call ourselves Anglo-Saxon, okay?
Okay, so that is Patrick King, one of the leaders of the convoy movement. And believe me, this is not just one particular incident. He has a bunch of videos. Everyone, he has a bunch of videos spouting off QAnon theories. And let's just take a little piece of these. Why are there so many immigrants? Why are there so many immigrants that have gone into Europe and come over here to the States? Could it be because of Bush, the younger's, W's invasion, botched invasion of Iraq that threw the entire area into turmoil? Maybe, perhaps, yes. And, we're just going to do some 101 demographic statistics, what demographers already know about what's happening. In industrial societies, people just don't want to have as many children. In industrial societies with good social safety nets, couples just don't have as many children. That's why you have a lower birth rate in the States, in Canada, in Western Europe. That's why you see lower birth rates in China right now, is because there's more of a social safety net. Parents don't have to rely on their children for retirement, basically. And that's why there are just less people in these societies. That is like 101 stuff. But the thing is, with QAnon, with these conspiracies that we here in the States have exported to Canada, and once again, massive apologies, they have taken root in the convoy movement. I'm going to check out the chat. If this is your first time here, hello. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, glad to see that you're here. You're going to see me talk with the chat. I can only see you, basically, if you're on YouTube. It's better for me to communicate with you in case you do want to contribute to join us here on the Laughing in Disbelief channel on YouTube. All right, checking out the chat, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Simply Secular Dave, once again, Simply Secular Dave, thank you for that video. I took a look at some of Patrick King's other videos, just as crazy. Dee Parks, as a great philosopher once said, stupid is as stupid does. Once again, all of these assertions that Patrick King is making in that video can just be waved away within 2 seconds with logic, with a little bit of knowledge about how the world works. Oh, man. QAnon. Don't fall for those QAnon people who've been infiltrated by the lizard. I see what you're doing there, Dave. Checking out what else is going on here in the chat. Yeah. Sorry about us exporting our insanity, Canada. Speaking as a citizen of the United States. So yeah, hopefully we will see more of the truckers getting arrested and their trucks, because most, even though they're called populists, right? They're populists, right? Most Canadians do not support them. Most Canadians do not support them getting in the way of everyday life in Canada. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Yeah, I heard that the Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, was trying to send pillows up to Canada, but wasn't able to get them over the border because of the trucker convoy, because of the fact that these bridges are being blockaded by truckers. Seeing what else is going on here in the chat. Hey, did anyone read? I know that some of you did, and thank you. I wrote a new piece on Only Sky. It's the Jordan Peterson and Deepak Chopra interview. I think it's funny. It's a little bit of satire. It should put a smile on your face. Did I tell you that I took a class with Jordan Peterson back in the day? True story. And talk about that in the after party after show that starts at 9:30. Link in the description below. If you want to be on the panel, link in the description below. All right, what time is it? Halftime Tummy Rub Show. I'm going to take a break, check out a cat, and then come back to the action. And we're going to talk about two bills in Tennessee that are going to make hundreds of thousands of gun owners into law enforcement. I wish I was making this up, but we're going to get to that after the break, everyone. One day the cats are speaking back to us. The next day they're going to be in charge. All right. Tennessee bill would designate some gun owners as law enforcement. The legislation expands the definition of law enforcement officer. It states it's almost as if you ask yourself, how can policing be made worse here in the United States of America? How can the insane amount of gun violence could be exacerbated here in the States? How is this? Tennessee has found a way. They have found a way to make the gun violent epidemic, however you want to call it, as well as policing worse at the same time. And that's the genius of Tennessee. Legislation introduced in the Tennessee state legislature this month is raising alarms from the state's police union and gun control advocates who say it would turn the streets into the Old West. I just want to tell you something, everyone. The Old West, it wasn't as violent as you would see on movies. Many times, you would have to, basically, if you had a gun and you rode into town, you would have to give your gun up to law enforcement while you're in the town. In fact, if you see The Unforgiven, the Clint Eastwood movie, I think from the 90s, what is shown there is actually typical for many Western settlements, is that you would come into town, give your guns up to law enforcement, so you wouldn't do anything crazy while you're in town. And then when you were leaving, you would get them back. Two bills in the State Assembly and State Senate, HB 254 and SB 2523, would amend Tennessee law and designate a person who has issued an enhanced handgun carry permit as a member of law enforcement. Now, some of you trying to find some kind of rationality in this world may say, well, maybe if you have an enhanced gun permit, maybe you go through hours and tens of hours, maybe hundreds of hours of training so that you can use your firearm as a police officer, as law enforcement. Under Tennessee's guns rules, an adult civilian resident can apply for an enhanced gun permit, which allows for both open carry and concealed carry by paying a $100 fee and providing an eight-hour handgun safety course certificate. And now they're going to be considered law enforcement if these bills pass. There are currently 686,348 active enhanced handgun carry permit holders in the state, according to the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, which issues the permits. A spokesperson for the department declined to comment about the proposed legislation, although the legislation doesn't have any hearings scheduled, and the assembly version has only one co-sponsor. It's already getting pushback, including from a police union who says it would ultimately lead to more gun violence. Oh, I don't know why you would have more pro-gun laws and that would increase gun violence. Tell me more. The largest police union told ABC News that it is adamantly opposed to this bill in its current form. Scott Delashmitt, the president of the Tennessee State Lodge for the Fraternal Order of the Police, said the police officers in the state spend countless hours on the gun range, honing their marksmanship skills, and must qualify annually with the same weapons. He added that officers also spend time training in driving, criminal law, defensive tactics, etc. I'm not here being an apologist for the Tennessee police, let me tell you. But what I am saying is that if you're just everyday guy with 8 hours of who knows how good the training is, and you spend $100 to get the special permit, perhaps you're not qualified to be quote unquote law enforcement. State Senate Joey Hensley, who introduced the state Senate version of the bill, told ABC News that the goal of the bill was to allow enhanced gun permit carriers to carry the weapons into locations where off-duty law enforcement enter, such as a store or restaurant that prohibits guns inside their businesses. I want to read that again. So this just shows you how the radical right tries to undermine business owners. Right here, people who say that we don't want you to carry in your weapons. We don't want you to bring them in, leave them at home. But this law is meant to undermine business owners. Once again, I'm going to say it again, that the goal of the bill was to allow enhanced gun permit carriers to carry the weapons into locations where off-duty law enforcement enter, such as store or restaurants that prohibit guns inside their businesses. Hensley said the bills would not allow enhanced permit holders to bring the weapons into courts or schools yet. Because right now, basically, the creator of the bills saying that we don't care what you as a business owner say about handguns. We're going to make it so that anyone with $100 and 8 hours of training can walk into your restaurant, your Starbucks, your bar where you're going to get alcohol and say crazy things. And there's going to be over 600,000 of these people are going to be able to walk into restaurants and bars and other establishments that do not want their guns there. It's insane. But that's the United States of America right there. Enough of the handguns. We need foot guns. Have there been foot guns? I don't know. And the penis guns? I don't know. Maybe Big Zebra. But the right loves small business. You know, the thing is about the right in this country, and I think this is true for any country, is that the right only cares about what the right wants at that particular moment. They say their propaganda is that we support small business owners, but what they support is basically whatever the right wants at that particular moment. Oh, good point, Blazing Wizard Pope. What a shoot hole country. I saw what you did there. Andy, did you just read that number as 348? Are you secretly British? I was married to I was heavily involved in Scots with Scotland for a while. Still got Scotland in my head. All right. Wes. Hello. How are you? I hope you're doing well this morning. How are we doing for time? We're doing great for time. Let's do the next story. So first story was about Canada and leaders of the trucker convoy being arrested. And we also took a look at one Patrick King and his bizarre word salad theory of replacement theory, white replacement theory. What a lunatic. If you're just tuning in now, take a look at that earlier on in the video and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right. And of course, we just talked about Tennessee and about how there are two bills that are going to make over 600,000 gun owners, basically law enforcement, and being able to carry their guns in to businesses, whether or not the business wants them to have guns there. All right. Last story, everyone. Is this the last story? This is a little positive here. Nearly 3/4 of Americans have some COVID immunity. Experts say Omicron infections and vaccinations mean future surges likely to be less severe, but 80 million Americans still totally unprotected. 80 million? That's a lot of millions. Millions of individual Americans' immune systems now recognize the virus and are primed to fight it off if they encounter Omicron or even another variant. About half of eligible Americans have received booster shots. There have been nearly 80 million confirmed infections overall, and many more infections that have never been reported. One influential model uses those factors and others to estimate that 73% of Americans are, for now, enjoying protection from Omicron, the dominant variant, and that could raise up to 80% by March. Of course, what we know about this so-called natural immunity, this immunity if you get Omicron, that only lasts for 3 months or so, right? Scientists at Johns Hopkins University Bloomberg School of Public Health estimate that 3 out of 4 people in the U.S. will have been infected with Omicron by the end of the surge. That's 75%. That seems like a high percent. We know that it's a huge proportion of the population. Sean Truelove, what an awesome name, an epidemiologist and disease modeler at Johns Hopkins. This varies a lot by location. In some areas, we expect the number infected to be closer to 1 in 2. We're looking at some of you red states out there, the ones who are fighting mask mandates and vaccinations. This will prevent or shorten new illnesses in protected people and reduce the amount of virus circulating. Overall, probably tamping down new waves. Hospitals will get a break from overwhelmed ICUs, experts agree. We have changed, said Ali Baghdad, a professor of health metrics sciences at the University of Washington in Seattle. We have been exposed to this virus and we know how to deal with it. The coronavirus, the current variant, or future ones that are sure to pop up remains a dangerous germ. They're still infecting more than 100,000 Americans and killing more than 2,000 every day. 2,000 dead every day. I think, personally, there's a lot of people, there is this feeling like we're done with coronavirus, but it's still killing 2,000 people a day. Going to check out the chat one more time before rolling up the show. What? No ads here. There are no ads here. You'll see this. There's no ads here. This is funded by contributors like you. I'm biting some of PBS's style right here. YouTube members, super chatters, patrons, people who throw a couple of pennies in for my, into the Venmo or PayPal accounts, links in the description below. Thank you very much. And look, I understand if you cannot afford to contribute. I too am on a prudent budget. We'll just say prudent budget. But if you could share the video, that's important. I think we're doing good work here, myself as well as you in the chat. I think we're doing good work and we're covering stories that typically you don't really see on YouTube. All right. Cat video. Thank you, video. And then I'll see you at 9:30, everyone. Thanks for showing up. And if I don't see you at 9:30, then have a good weekend. No show on Monday and Tuesday next week. I'm going to be in New York City doing the thing. And so the next episode of this show is going to be on Wednesday next week. Take care.
Look at this. I just have this little guy that sits in my living room and stares at me. He just sits there and looks at me.